Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Lilly, and I'm absolutely thrilled that you're here with me today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to give a special shout out to all of you who have been supporting this podcast. Your love, your engagement, and your kind words genuinely mean the world to me. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, please take a moment and subscribe to this podcast channel. It takes just a few seconds, and it truly helps me reach more people who are struggling with their English journey, just like so many of you are. Also, if you feel that this episode is valuable, and I have a strong feeling you will, please share it with a friend, a family member, or anyone you know who is working hard to improve their English skills. Sometimes all someone needs is one powerful idea, one different perspective, and everything can change for them. You might be the person who shares the exact message they need to hear today. That's incredibly powerful, and I really hope you'll consider sharing this with someone you care about. Now, I also want to invite you to explore our entire podcast playlist. If you go to our channel, you'll find a dedicated podcast playlist that contains all of my episodes on various topics related to English learning, personal development, and practical life skills. Each episode in that playlist is designed to stand alone, but together, they create a comprehensive learning experience that will transform not just your English, but also your confidence and your mindset. Please check out the podcast playlist for more videos, more insights, and more tools to help you on your journey. Today, I want to talk to you about something that I believe is absolutely beautiful, yet incredibly powerful. The question that so many of you have asked me is simple but profound. How do I think in English? This is a challenge that so many English learners face, no matter where you are in your learning journey. I've spoken with hundreds of people from different countries, different backgrounds, and different life situations, and I hear the same struggle again and again. Even when your schedule is packed with work and responsibilities, even when fear holds you back from taking action, even when English is not the language spoken on your streets or in your home, you can still, and I want to emphasize this, you can still train your mind to think in English. You can do this one step at a time, one thought at a time, building beautiful momentum as you go. So many people believe something that I want to completely challenge today. They believe that they must move to London, or they must move to New York, or they must live in an English-speaking country to truly master English. But I am here to tell you, and I'm saying this with absolute conviction, that is simply not the truth. That belief is holding you back from your potential, and I want you to let it go right now. You do not need to live in a foreign city to become fluent in English. You do not need a native speaker sitting beside you every single day, correcting your mistakes, guiding your every sentence. And you absolutely do not need to sacrifice hours and hours of sleep, studying every single night until you're exhausted. What you truly need, and this is the secret that so many language teachers and experts are now discovering and sharing. What you truly need are small, intelligent, targeted steps. Steps that are actually easy to repeat every single day without burning out. Steps that blend seamlessly into your real life, into your actual routine, without requiring major changes or sacrifices. For example, speaking for just 1 minute each morning while you're getting ready, listening while you walk to work or school, or silently thinking in English when you are by yourself, sitting alone with your thoughts. These small habits may seem insignificant when you look at them individually, but I want you to understand something crucial here. Over time, when you repeat these small practices consistently, they create extraordinary change. They create transformation that will surprise you. Let me paint a picture of what many of you experience every single day. If you live in a place where English flows around you constantly, if you hear it on the streets, in shops, in schools, if you use it constantly in your daily interactions, then gradually, almost naturally, English becomes woven into your thinking. You no longer need to translate inside your head. When a thought rises in your mind, the sentence arrives directly in English, without conscious effort, without translation, without that painful process of converting from your native language. This is what native speakers experience, and this is what we're aiming for. But for most people listening to this podcast right now, that is simply not your reality. Most English learners live in a place where English is not part of everyday life. Maybe you live in China, maybe you live in Brazil, maybe you live in Japan, or any number of countries where your native language is dominant and English is something you learn separately, something you study. Perhaps that is your story, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Maybe you study English completely on your own, without a formal teacher, without a school, just you and your determination. Maybe you only touch English when you watch a video online, or read something on your phone, or listen to a podcast like this one. And when you try to speak English in real situations, you feel stuck. You feel like your words are moving through thick mud, moving very slowly, struggling to come out. Here's what typically happens in your mind. You think in your own native language first, and then you struggle to convert it into English. That process takes time, sometimes seconds, sometimes even longer. And because of this translation delay, the sentence comes out awkward because English has its own unique structure, its own way of organizing ideas and thoughts. For example, in many Asian languages, you might say something like, "I very like this," with the intensity word coming before the verb. But in English, we say, "I really like this," with the intensity word coming after the verb. This structural difference is exactly why translating inside your head makes speaking feel so difficult and so unnatural. Your brain is trying to reorganize thoughts that are already formed in another language, and that's exhausting. Let me tell you something that might surprise you, something that I want you to really internalize and understand deeply. You are not slow because your English is weak. You are not slow because you don't have enough vocabulary or grammar knowledge. You are slow because you are translating. Your brain is trying to carry two heavy loads at the same time, like trying to walk while carrying a heavy suitcase in each hand. First, you think in your native language and formulate a complete thought. Then, you attempt to convert it into English. That conversion process takes precious seconds, and while your brain is working overtime, struggling with this translation, the conversation has already moved forward. The person is waiting for your response and you're still stuck in translation mode. And that is why you feel nervous. That is why you freeze. That is why speaking English feels so difficult, even though you know the grammar and the vocabulary. Think about this scenario for a moment, because I know many of you have experienced this exact situation. Someone asks you a simple, straightforward question. Maybe they ask, "What did you do today?" You understand it perfectly. You know exactly what they're asking. But before you answer, before you open your mouth, your mind races back to your native language first. You think about your day in your own language. Then you begin constructing the English sentence, word by word, checking the grammar, making sure it sounds right. And in that gap, in that space between understanding and speaking, you feel completely stuck. You feel like time has stopped, and you're frozen there trying to find the words. This is not a reflection of your intelligence. Please understand this. This situation is not because you're not smart enough or not talented enough. It's simply your brain working too hard, working inefficiently, trying to do too many things at once. This is a process problem, not an intelligence problem. This is about how your brain is approaching the task. And the beautiful news, the wonderful news, is that this can be changed. This can be completely transformed. The moment you stop translating, everything becomes faster and lighter. You can train your mind to think directly in English without this intermediate translation step. You do not need any special gift or unusual talent. You just need consistent, targeted practice and a clear, simple method that actually works. And today, throughout this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to give you 5 powerful, practical techniques that you can start using today, right now, to begin training your brain to think directly in English. Each technique is simple, each one is actionable, and each one can be integrated into your daily life without requiring massive changes or large blocks of time. Let's begin with one of the most powerful techniques you will ever discover in your English learning journey. It's called shadowing. Perhaps you have come across this word before, or perhaps it is completely new to you. Let me explain what it is and why it's so incredibly effective. Shadowing is a beautifully simple, yet remarkably effective way to strengthen both your listening skills and your speaking skills at the very same time. It's like killing two birds with one stone, but in the gentlest, most natural way possible. Here is exactly how shadowing works. You listen to someone speaking English, maybe a podcast episode, maybe a TED Talk video, maybe even this very speech that you're listening to right now. Then you repeat what you hear, speaking along with them. You do not pause to think about what they said. You do not translate it into your native language first. You do not run to the dictionary to look up words you don't know. You simply listen and repeat, like a living echo, like a shadow following someone's movements. Try to copy not just the words themselves, but the sound, the pronunciation, the pace at which they're speaking, and the natural flow and rhythm of their speech. This is absolutely critical because English is not just a collection of individual words strung together. English has a rhythm, it has a heartbeat, it has a natural flow that native speakers internalize over many years. Let me actually demonstrate this for you right now so you can understand exactly what I mean. I will say a sentence and I want you to repeat it after me. Try to match my pace, my pronunciation, my tone. Here we go. I want to speak English fluently and with confidence. Now you repeat that sentence out loud. Say it as if you mean it, as if you really want to speak English fluently. Okay, let's try another one. Listen carefully. I listen to English every single day, and my skills are improving. Now you repeat. Try to match my rhythm and my pace. One more time, here's a sentence for you. Shadowing helps me think and speak better, and I notice the difference every week. Now you repeat that one. That is shadowing. That's the technique. That's how it works in practice. At first, shadowing may feel uncomfortable. You might feel like you are moving too fast, that the speaker is speaking faster than you can comfortably follow. You may not catch every single word that's being said, and that is perfectly fine. That's absolutely okay. Shadowing is not about understanding every single thing perfectly or getting every word right. It's about training your brain and your mouth to work in perfect harmony with each other. It's about training your pronunciation, your rhythm, your natural flow. Think about how you learn to play music if you play an instrument, or think about how a child learns to sing a song. When you first learn a song, you don't understand every word. You might not speak the language the song is in, but you listen, you repeat, and slowly, gradually, you begin to sing it with confidence and ease. Language works in exactly the same beautiful way. If you practice shadowing every single day, even for just 5 or 10 minutes, you will begin to notice something remarkable within a few weeks. Your speaking becomes sharper, your pronunciation becomes crisper and clearer, and your sentences begin to feel natural, almost effortless. This happens because your brain is absorbing the patterns of English, the rhythm, the way native speakers actually structure their sentences. You're not learning individual words in isolation. You're learning how English actually sounds, how it actually flows, how native speakers actually use it in real life. Let me tell you about one of my students who completely transformed her English using shadowing. Her name was Maria, and she was a nurse working in Brazil. She had learned English grammar in school, she knew all the rules, but when she tried to speak, she felt stiff, uncomfortable, and unnatural. Her pronunciation was clear enough that people could understand her, but she didn't sound like a native speaker, and more importantly, she didn't feel confident. She decided to dedicate just 15 minutes each morning to shadowing. She would listen to a TED Talk and she would repeat the sentences, trying to match the speaker's pace and rhythm. After 3 weeks, something remarkable happened. She was at a conference and she had a conversation with an English-speaking doctor. For the first time, she wasn't translating in her head. Words were coming out naturally. She was thinking in English and the conversation flowed smoothly. She told me that it was like a light switch had been turned on. Her brain had finally internalized the rhythm and pattern of English, and she could speak without the heavy cognitive load of translation. This is what shadowing does. This is the power of this technique. Now, let us move to the heart of today's topic: how to think directly in English. How to stop translating and start thinking. So many students share the same struggles with me. They say, "Lily, I want to grow my English, but I have no time. I feel terrified when I speak in front of people. I don't even know where to begin, and I feel so discouraged." And my answer is always the same, always consistent. You do not need hours and hours of time. You do not need flawless grammar or perfect accent. And you absolutely do not need to wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect opportunity, the perfect circumstances. You just need to begin right now, right here, with what you have, where you are. Begin today. Let's start with the first powerful way to think in English. Think in English one thought at a time. This is one of the most transformative shifts you can make as a language learner. This changes everything. So many people attempt to translate everything from their native language, every thought, every idea, every sentence, and it turns speaking into an exhausting, slow, difficult process. It's like trying to run a race while carrying a heavy backpack. But instead of translating full, complex sentences, instead of trying to change your entire thought process overnight, you begin with small, light, simple thoughts. Individual words, short phrases, simple sentences. In the beginning, this will feel a little uncomfortable. Your brain will pull you back toward your native language. That is completely normal. That's your brain wanting to default to what it knows best, what feels most natural. But you do not need to fight this tendency aggressively. You don't need to force yourself or beat yourself up about it. You simply need to guide your thinking gently, step by step, with patience and compassion for yourself. This is a gradual process, and gradual is fine. Gradual is actually better than trying to change everything at once. Start with short, clean, simple sentences in your mind. When you wake up in the morning, think simple thoughts in English. Think, "It's morning. I feel sleepy. I need a coffee." That's it. 3 simple sentences. When you step outside, look around and say in your mind, "The sky is blue. The air is cold today. I see a dog." During your workday, you can think, "I am working now. I feel tired. I want to go home and rest." These are beautifully simple thoughts, basic thoughts, but they are profoundly important. They help your brain form a direct connection to English, a pathway where you think in English without having to translate first. You are not translating from your native language. You are thinking. And that is the ultimate goal. The end point we're trying to reach. Later, you can take it a step further and say these sentences out loud. You do not need to shout them. A soft whisper is enough, or even just speaking quietly to yourself. It may feel strange at first, almost like you're talking to yourself, and actually, you are. But I want to assure you that this is genuinely one of the most powerful forms of practice that exists. Most professional language teachers and language experts agree on this point. They say the same thing over and over. Start small. Begin with the basics. Build your foundation slowly. A wonderful first step is to think in single words. Look around you right now, wherever you are listening to this podcast. What do you see? Take a moment and try to name everything you see in English. Maybe you see a phone, a table, a chair, a window, a door, a lamp, a picture on the wall, a plant. In the beginning, you may not know every single word. That is perfectly okay. That's completely normal. Skip the words you don't know, or look them up later when you have time. The most important thing is that you try. You make the effort. You practice. One teacher that I deeply admire gives his students this exact exercise every single morning. They wake up, look around their room, and name 5 things they see in English. They do it again when they step outside. They do it on the bus or train. They do it at work. And after a period of time, something almost magical begins to happen. Words start arriving in their minds automatically, without any conscious effort. You stop having to search for the word. It just appears. It just comes to you. You can turn this into a beautiful daily habit that takes just minutes. When you're in your room, try to name 5 things you see. When you're in the kitchen, name 5 different things. When you're in your car or on public transportation, name 5 things. Before you close your eyes at night and go to sleep, think about what you used throughout the day. Phone, bag, keys, food, water, pen, notebook. This builds your vocabulary in a way that feels natural, not forced, not artificial. It's organic and connected to your real life. Once you feel comfortable with nouns, the names of things, you can add movement, action words, and verbs. Start thinking things like, I open the door, I drink water, I sit on the chair, I stand up, I walk to the window. Now your thinking becomes alive. It's not just naming objects, but describing real actions, real movements, real things that you actually do. Your brain is now engaged in creating meaningful sentences, not just listing words. This is a crucial step forward. Let me tell you about another student, David, who used this technique. He was a teacher in Mexico, very intelligent, but he had been studying English for years without being able to think in English. He felt frustrated. He would read advanced books, he knew complex grammar, but his brain still wanted to translate everything. I suggested he start with the word naming exercise. Every morning, he would spend 3 minutes looking around his room and naming things. It felt silly to him at first, too simple, too basic for someone with his level of knowledge, but he persisted. After 2 weeks, something changed. He realized that when he walked into his classroom, he could describe what he saw without translating. He could think, the classroom is busy, the students are writing, the board is full. This might seem like a small thing, but it was enormous for him. It was the beginning of thinking directly in English. Within a month, his entire relationship with English had changed. He was thinking in English throughout the day, and speaking was no longer effortful. This is what this simple technique can do. Now, let us move to the next level of thinking in English. This is thinking in conversation. This means you imagine yourself in dialogue with someone. You ask questions in your mind and you answer them yourself. You create the conversation entirely in your head, and you do this in English. This is extraordinarily powerful because it prepares you for real conversations in the real world. It's like mental rehearsal, like an athlete visualizing their performance before the actual competition. For example, imagine someone asks you, "What did you do yesterday?" In your mind, answer in English. Answer naturally, honestly. Yesterday, I worked until 5 o'clock. Then I went home. I watched a video and went to sleep. Or imagine someone asks, "What do you enjoy doing on weekends?" You can answer in your mind, "I like to unwind and relax. I watch films and read books. Sometimes I go out with people I love and spend time together." In the beginning, your answers will be simple. Don't worry about that. Don't try to make them complicated. Keep them simple. The purpose is not perfection. The purpose is not impressive vocabulary or complex grammar. The purpose is to get comfortable using English inside your own mind without the interference of translation. You want to bypass the translation step entirely. You can practice this conversation technique anywhere, at any time. While walking to work, while waiting in line, while sitting alone in silence at lunch. You do not need a partner. You do not need another person. You create the entire conversation yourself. You be both people, both voices in your own mind. And here is something truly important that I want you to remember. Sometimes your mind will go blank. You will not find a word. The word you want to use won't come to you. In that moment, do not retreat to your native language. Do not go back to thinking in your own language. Instead, try to describe the idea using different words. You find alternative words. For example, if you cannot remember the word calculator, you could say, "The thing I use to count numbers and do math." Or if you can't remember the word umbrella, you could say, "The thing I use when it rains to stay dry." This is exactly what happens in authentic, real-world conversations with native speakers. People forget words all the time. Native speakers forget words. We all do. The difference is that native speakers don't panic. They simply find another way to express the idea. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Over time, your brain will stop translating entirely. This skill, the ability to describe an idea in different ways, is incredibly valuable. It makes you a better communicator in every situation. Let me share an example. I once worked with a student named James, and he was an engineer from Thailand. He knew technical vocabulary extremely well because he worked in English in his job, but in social situations, casual conversations, he felt completely lost. His brain was trying to use technical vocabulary in casual conversations, and it wasn't working. I suggested he practice conversation thinking in social contexts. Every evening, he would imagine casual conversations. Someone asks, "How was your day?" He would answer, "It was good. I was busy at work. I ate lunch with my colleague. The food was delicious. I felt happy." Within weeks, he noticed that casual conversations became easier. His brain had practiced these everyday topics, these common phrases, these simple exchanges, and now they felt natural when he encountered them in real life. He wasn't translating anymore. He was simply talking. This is the power of mental conversation practice. The second powerful way to train your mind to think in English is this: use English in your daily life. This is crucial. If you genuinely want to speak English with ease and comfort, you cannot simply study English in isolation. You cannot study English for 30 minutes and then forget about it for the rest of the day. You need to live with it. You need to integrate it into your actual life. This idea sounds straightforward, but I want you to understand something. Most people never truly do this. They study for 30 minutes and then they stop. For the rest of the day, they drift back entirely into their native language. They speak their native language, they think their native language, they read their native language. Their brain never truly gets comfortable with English because they're not giving it enough exposure. But the moment you begin weaving English into the small, ordinary moments of your day, everything begins to shift. English stops feeling like something separate, something you study, something you do at a desk with a textbook. It begins feeling like a part of you, like a part of your life. And this changes everything. Think about your normal day from the moment you wake up until you go to sleep. When you wake up, when you eat, when you walk, when you reach for your phone, when you work, when you rest. Every single one of these moments is an opportunity to use English. Every moment is a chance to think in English instead of your native language. In the morning, as you get dressed and prepare for your day, say things in your mind in English. Think, "I put on my shirt. I wear my shoes. I take my bag. I check the mirror. I look good today." These are simple actions, simple sentences. When you step outside, continue thinking in English. I walk to the bus stop. I wait for the bus. I see many people. The weather is nice. I feel energetic. These are simple sentences, but they keep your mind anchored in English. They keep English active in your brain. You can do the very same thing during everyday tasks at home. While cooking, think, I cut the vegetables, I cook the rice. The food smells wonderful. I feel hungry. I can't wait to eat. While using your phone, think, I check my messages, I watch a video, I reply to my friend, I browse social media, I see interesting content. These small actions happen every single day. You already have these moments. You're already doing these activities. You're simply not using them as opportunities to practice English. And that's a missed opportunity, a missed chance to train your brain. Another beautiful and powerful practice is to describe your day using simple sentences. Begin with the present tense because it's the most accessible and the most natural. Think, I work in an office. I answer emails. I speak with my colleagues. I attend meetings. I solve problems. Keep it simple and honest. Then move forward in time. Move to the future. Think, today I will go to work. I will meet my friend after work. I will study English tonight. I will rest when I get home. I will sleep well. Or create a small plan in your mind using future tense. Think, after work, I am going to buy coffee at my favorite place. Then I will go home. I will watch an English video for 20 minutes. I will rest and have dinner. I will prepare for tomorrow. And at the end of the day, as you're lying in bed, reflect on what passed. Think, today I worked hard. I spoke with a friend. I discovered some new words. I helped someone. I felt good about myself. In this way, you are naturally using 3 different time forms: present, future, and past. This is how real language lives and breathes in daily life. This is how native speakers use language. They're not thinking about grammar rules. They're just living in the language, using different tenses naturally as they think about different times. And here is what makes this method so incredibly powerful. You are not memorizing anything. You are not trying to remember rules. You are using English again and again in real, lived moments. Moments that are meaningful to you. Your brain begins to recognize and remember patterns because those patterns are connected to your real life, your actual experiences. You stop needing to translate every time you want to express a thought. And gradually, something significant changes, something fundamental shifts. You stop thinking in your native language first. You begin thinking directly in English. That is a profound step toward fluency. That is the breakthrough we're aiming for. Let me tell you about a student named Sophia from Spain. She was a designer, and she was frustrated because she could understand English perfectly when she listened, but she couldn't think in English. Every thought in her head was still in Spanish. I suggested she start describing her design work in English in her mind. While working, she would think in English about what she was doing. I open the design program. I create a new document. I choose colors. I adjust the layout. This design looks good. I need to change this element. At first, it felt strange and forced, but after a few weeks, something magical happened. She was in a design meeting with international clients, and she was thinking in English naturally. She wasn't translating. Her brain had finally made the shift because she had practiced using English in the context of her actual work, her actual life, her actual interests. The third powerful way to train your mind to think in English is this. Surround yourself with English every single day. This means you immerse yourself in the language, not occasionally, not once a week, but every single day. If you want to think in English and speak with naturalness and ease, you need to hear English constantly, not once a week in a classroom, not only in a formal study environment, but a little bit every single day. You need to create a constant exposure to English. Many learners place all their energy on studying grammar rules and memorizing vocabulary lists, but they overlook something absolutely fundamental, something crucial. Language is something you hear first, something you absorb through listening before you can speak with confidence. Before your mouth can produce English naturally, your brain needs to become deeply, intimately familiar with the sound of English. Regular listening helps you absorb new words and phrases naturally, but even more importantly, it helps you feel how real English actually sounds. It helps you understand what natural English really sounds like, not textbook English, but real human English. You absorb the rhythm, the pace, the natural way people express themselves. You absorb the intonation, the stress patterns, the way native speakers actually put words together. This is something no textbook in the world can ever truly teach you, no matter how well written it is. No grammar book can teach you the music of English, the way it sounds. At first, listening can feel overwhelming. You might feel like you are catching almost nothing, perhaps just a word here and there. Maybe you catch 1 sentence out of 10. This is completely normal. This is what every beginning listener experiences. Many people stopped at this very point because they tell themselves, "This is too hard for me. I can't understand. I'm not making progress." But I want you to understand something crucial. In reality, this listening phase is the most important stage of all. Your brain is learning even when you cannot feel it yet. Your brain is building connections, making associations, learning patterns, even though you can't consciously perceive it. Think about listening to a song in a language you do not know. A language you have never studied. At first, it sounds like beautiful noise. It's pleasant, it's interesting, but you don't understand anything. But after you hear it many times, again and again, you begin to recognize fragments. Then, you understand small moments. Then, one day, you can sing along even if you don't speak the language. Language works in exactly the same way. Your brain is a learning machine. It absorbs patterns and information even when you're not consciously aware of it. So you absolutely do not need to understand 100% of what you hear. Even understanding 30% or 50% is genuinely valuable. Your brain is quietly, steadily, consistently building connections, making associations, learning patterns, and with time and consistent exposure, you will understand more and more without having to translate it all. So, how do you actually do this in real life? How do you integrate daily English listening into your schedule? It is simpler than you think. It is much more doable than you imagine. Listen to podcasts, listen to English music, watch short videos on a platform you enjoy, watch educational videos, watch entertainment videos, watch comedy if that makes you happy. Choose something that genuinely interests you, something that you actually want to listen to, because when you enjoy it, you will keep returning to it. You will find time for it. You will make it a priority. Even 10 to 15 minutes each day can create a profound difference over time. It doesn't need to be an hour. 30 minutes is wonderful. An hour is great. But even 10 minutes every single day is powerful. Much more powerful than 3 hours once a week. Your ears will gradually grow stronger and more attuned to English. You will begin to recognize familiar words and phrases without even trying. You won't need to strain to hear them. They'll just jump out at you. And one day, maybe weeks or months from now, you will notice something that surprises you. You will understand without having to think too hard. You will understand without that internal translation happening. That is the moment when the translation stops, because your mind is now truly at home in English. Your brain has developed enough familiarity with English that understanding becomes automatic. So do not become discouraged when the beginning feels slow. The progress is happening even if you can't see it. Simply keep listening. Let English become the background music of your life. Listen while commuting. Listen while exercising. Listen while doing chores. Listen while cooking. And over time, it will feel as natural as breathing. It will feel as natural as your native language. I had a student named Marco from Italy who was very dedicated but feeling frustrated. He had been studying English for years, but he still couldn't understand movies without subtitles. He felt stuck. He had studied grammar thoroughly, he knew vocabulary, but listening was still difficult. I suggested he listen to English podcasts about topics he loved. He loved soccer, so he found podcasts about soccer, sports analysis, player interviews. He committed to listening for 15 minutes every morning while having coffee. He didn't try to understand every word, he just listened. After 3 weeks, something shifted. He was watching a soccer match with an English commentary, and suddenly, he understood so much more than he expected. Words he had heard in the podcasts started making sense. Phrases became familiar. Within 2 months, he could watch movies with English subtitles and understand most of it. And after 4 months, he could understand without subtitles. The difference was consistent, daily exposure to English that he actually enjoyed. This is the power of this approach. The fourth powerful way to train your brain to think in English is this: speak out loud and train your voice. This is critical, and I want you to understand why. Many learners read English silently in their minds. They listen to English. They write in English. And while reading and listening are genuinely helpful for building understanding, for improving comprehension, if you want to truly speak better, if you want to think in English while speaking, you must use your voice. You must speak out loud. Speaking is a physical skill. It's not just mental. It involves your mouth, your tongue, your lips, your jaw, your breath. All of these physical components need to be trained. If you do not practice using them in English, if you only think about speaking but never actually do it, then speaking will feel difficult and foreign every single time you try. Reading aloud is one of the simplest and most powerful habits you can build into your routine. Choose something easy, not complicated, not advanced. A short story, a simple dialogue, even the subtitles of a video you love. Read slowly at first. Focus on speaking clearly, on pronouncing each word correctly. Do not worry about making mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning. Then read it again, a little faster. Then read it once more with genuine feeling, as if you are telling a story, as if you are on a stage performing. For example, if you read the sentence, "I am happy to see you," do not just read the words mechanically like a robot. Feel them, say them like you truly mean them. This helps your brain understand not only the meaning of the words, but also the emotion and intention that lives inside English. At first, you may feel awkward. Perhaps your voice sounds unfamiliar to you. Perhaps certain words feel difficult on your tongue. Maybe your native language has different sounds, different ways of moving your mouth, and English requires different mouth movements. That is completely normal. Even simple words like world or comfortable can feel challenging at first, but the more you practice, the lighter it becomes, the more natural it becomes. Think of it like training your body. If you go to the gym for the first time, your muscles feel sore. The workout is hard. You feel tired. But when you train a little every day, you grow stronger. Your body adapts. Your muscles strengthen. Your endurance improves. Your speaking works in exactly the same way. The first time you read aloud, it feels strange. But with daily practice, your mouth gets used to the movements. The sounds become easier. The words flow more naturally. Now, take this technique one step further. Use what you hear and speak it aloud. Listening is essential, but speaking is what accelerates your growth. This is the combination that creates rapid improvement. After you hear a sentence, repeat it. Not just the words, but the sound, the rhythm, the feeling, and intention behind it. Listen to me. I want to get better at English. Now, repeat it out loud. Try to match the pace and the tone. Try to sound like me. I do not understand everything, but I keep going. Repeat it again out loud. I am improving little by little. Repeat it one more time. When you do this, when you practice this shadowing technique that we talked about earlier, you are training your mouth to move naturally in English. You are training your mouth to create the right sounds, to flow at the right pace, to have the right rhythm. You are also training your ear to recognize correct pronunciation. You're developing an ear for what English actually sounds like. At first, you may not sound exactly like the speaker. That is absolutely fine. You don't need to sound exactly like them. You simply need to try, to practice, to work toward better pronunciation. Do not stop. Simply keep going. Over time, your voice will become smoother, your pronunciation will become clearer, and you will feel something you may not have felt before. Genuine confidence when you speak. You will feel comfortable using your voice in English. You will feel at ease. You can practice speaking anywhere, at home, in your room, even while walking alone outside. Some people practice while cooking, some practice while driving, some practice while showering and singing English songs. You do not need a perfect setting. You do not need privacy if you're comfortable speaking around others. You simply need to use your voice. And remember, repetition is everything. This is crucial. Do not say something once and move on. Do not repeat it 2 times and think that's enough. Repeat it 5 times, 10 times, even more. It may feel repetitive, it may feel boring, but this is precisely how speaking becomes natural and effortless. This is how muscle memory develops. This is how your brain and your mouth develop the automatic ability to speak English without thinking. So keep this close to your heart. Your speaking does not need to be perfect. It simply needs to be practiced. If you give your voice a few minutes every single day, if you speak out loud every single day, the difference over time will amaze you. Your speaking will become easier, clearer, and filled with genuine confidence. And that is exactly where we are headed. That is the destination. I had a student named Kenji from Japan, and he was very intelligent. He could write English beautifully. He could read English fluently. But when it came time to speak, he froze. His mouth wouldn't cooperate. He knew what he wanted to say, but he couldn't say it. The problem was that he had never trained his voice. He had never practiced speaking. I asked him to spend 10 minutes every day reading aloud and repeating sentences. He was resistant at first. He felt embarrassed. But I encouraged him to do it alone, in his room, in his car, wherever he felt comfortable. After 3 weeks, when he came back, he reported something remarkable. His speaking was completely different. It was smoother, more confident, more fluid. When he opened his mouth to speak, the words came. He wasn't thinking about grammar anymore. His mouth just knew what to do because he had trained it. Within 2 months, he was having conversations with colleagues in English, and they were impressed. They didn't realize his English had improved so dramatically. This is the power of speaking practice. This is the power of using your voice. The fifth powerful way is this: build small daily English habits that stick. This is about changing one simple thing in your everyday routine, and it is far easier than you imagine. You do not need extra time. You don't need to carve out hours from your schedule. You simply use the time you already have. You repurpose time you're already spending anyway. Begin by changing your phone's language to English. Think about how many times you pick up your phone each day. Perhaps 50 times, perhaps even 100 times. You check messages, you scroll through social media, you check notifications, you look at the time. Every single one of these moments is an opportunity to see English. Every interaction with your phone could be learning. When your phone speaks to you in English, when all the menus and buttons and notifications are in English, you begin seeing the same English words again and again. Words like settings, airplane mode, brightness, update, delete, download, install, save, share. You see these words dozens of times. At first, not every word will be clear, but within a few days, sometimes within just a few days, you will start recognizing them. You will not need to study them formally. You will not need to sit down and memorize them. Your brain absorbs them naturally simply because you encounter them so often. This is what we call passive learning. You learn without ever feeling like you are studying. It is gentle, it is consistent, and for people with busy lives, for people who feel they don't have time, it is remarkably powerful. Another habit you can build is writing a short diary or journal in English every single day. You do not need to write long, perfect paragraphs. Do not stress about flawless grammar. Do not try to use advanced vocabulary. Simply write 3 honest sentences about your day. 3 sentences, that's all. Today I went to work. I felt exhausted. I had 2 cups of coffee. That's it. Or, it rained this morning. I stayed at home. I watched an English video and learned new things. These sentences may look small and simple, but they are doing something significant. They are helping you practice sentence structure. They are drawing vocabulary from your own real life, your actual experiences. And most powerfully, they help you think in English rather than translate into it. When you write in English, you're making real sentences about real things that happen to you. You're not translating from your native language. You're creating English from scratch based on your actual experience. This trains your brain to think in English. You can do this at night just before you sleep. It takes only 5 minutes. Write in a notebook or on your phone or computer, whichever feels easier and more natural to you. And if you have a friend who is also learning English, share your sentences with each other. You write 3 sentences. They read them and respond. You read their sentences. Now it becomes a living, breathing conversation. It becomes meaningful practice with real communication. One more habit that can quietly transform your English is short videos. Today, platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts are overflowing with short, accessible English content. These videos are usually close to real life, easy to follow, engaging, entertaining. These platforms are not just for wasting time. They can be powerful learning tools if you use them intentionally. Choose any topic that genuinely excites you. Travel videos, food videos, everyday life, humor, inspiration, educational content. The only rule is that you enjoy it. You actually want to watch it. You find it interesting. Watch one short video 2 or 3 times. Then pause it. Try to repeat the sentences. Try to mirror the way the speaker talks, their tone, their rhythm, the way their words flow together. Even a 20-second video is enough because you are not just passively watching. You are actively listening, actively repeating, and actively practicing at the same time. This is how you build your ear and your voice together. This is how real, authentic speaking truly improves. When you bring these small habits together, when you change your phone, when you write a few sentences each night, when you repeat short videos, when you listen to podcasts, when you shadow speakers, you will begin to witness a quiet but powerful transformation. Not overnight, but over time, your brain will grow more and more at home in English. The translation will slow down, and then, one beautiful day, it will simply stop. You will think directly in English, and that will feel extraordinary. That will feel like freedom. That will feel like you've finally broken through to the other side. I want to tell you about a student named Anna from Germany. She was a working mother with 2 children, and she felt she had no time for English. She was too busy. But I suggested these small habits. She changed her phone to English. She wrote 3 sentences in her journal every night. She watched 5-minute videos while having her morning coffee. Nothing took more than a few minutes, but because it was consistent, because it was every single day, the effects were cumulative. After 2 months, she realized she was thinking in English throughout the day without effort. She would be cooking and thinking in English about what she was doing. She would be driving and listening to an English podcast. Her family noticed the change. They started asking her to help them with English. And Anna realized that by giving just a little bit of time every single day, she had completely transformed her English ability. So, let me make this beautifully simple for you. Let me distill everything we've talked about into the essential truth. Thinking in English is not as difficult as you have been telling yourself. It does not demand hours and hours of your time every single day. It does not require a teacher standing beside you every moment correcting your mistakes. You can do this on your own, in your own life, one small step at a time. You have everything you need to succeed. Here is the real secret that most people miss, that most language teachers don't emphasize enough. You do not need to add anything new to your day. You do not need to find extra time. You simply need to transform what you are already doing into English. Instead of reading your phone messages in your native language, try to read just one message in English. Try to understand it without translating. Instead of writing your daily notes in your mother tongue, try writing 1 or 2 simple sentences in English. When you are walking, when you are commuting, instead of thinking in your native language, try to describe what you see in English. Try to think in English. These are tiny actions, small moments, but they carry tremendous power. When you repeat these tiny actions every single day, they slowly become habits. And strong, consistent habits create confident, fluent speakers. This is the formula. This is how change happens. You do not need to feel ready. You don't need to have perfect grammar. You don't need to have a huge vocabulary. You simply need to show up every single day and use English just a little more than the day before. Just a tiny bit more. Progress is built through consistency, not through perfection. A small step forward every single day adds up to massive change over weeks and months. Think about your ordinary day. You wake up, you check your phone, you eat breakfast, you go about your work or studies, you rest at home, you sleep. Every single one of these moments can become practice. Every single moment is an opportunity. In the morning, you can think, I feel sleepy right now. My eyes want to close. I need coffee to wake up. At lunch, you can think, this food is wonderful. The flavors are delicious. I feel satisfied. At night, you can say, today was a full, busy, productive day. I did important work. I learned new things. I am proud of myself. These are simple thoughts, simple sentences, but they keep your mind living in English. And over time, something deeply important happens. Something fundamental shifts. You stop translating. You stop moving between 2 languages. You stop the process of thinking in your native language first and then converting to English. English begins arriving in your mind more naturally, more effortlessly, more freely. It becomes the default. It becomes what your brain chooses when you think. So, hold on to this truth. Do not treat English like homework. Do not tell yourself, I need a full hour to study. Do not put it off until you have free time, because you might never have free time. Instead, let English become part of who you are. Let it live in your phone, in your notes, in your thoughts, and in your voice. Let it be something you use every single day. Not merely something you study once in a while. When you do that, when you make English a part of your life, English begins to feel entirely different. It feels lighter. It feels more natural. It feels like yours. And this is where real fluency is born. This is where true English ability comes from. Start small, stay consistent, and keep going no matter what. Start today, right now. Change your phone to English. Write 3 sentences in a journal tonight. Listen to an English podcast tomorrow morning. Shadow a video this week. These are your action steps. These are your beginning. And I promise you, if you stay consistent, if you keep going, if you don't give up, your English will transform. Let me go deeper into some of these concepts because I want you to truly understand not just the what, but the why behind these techniques. Understanding the why will help you stay motivated when things feel difficult. When you're learning something new, when you're changing your habits, there will be moments of doubt. There will be times when you feel like it's not working, like you're not making progress. But if you understand the science, if you understand why these techniques work, you'll be able to push through those moments. Let's talk about how your brain actually learns language. Your brain is not a filing cabinet where you store facts and information. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. It learns through exposure and repetition. It learns by seeing patterns again and again until those patterns become automatic. When you were a child and learned your native language, you didn't learn it by studying grammar books. You learned it by hearing it constantly, by repeating it, by using it in real contexts. You learned through immersion and repetition. English learning works exactly the same way, no matter how old you are. Your brain is capable of learning language at any age. The brain remains plastic, capable of forming new neural connections throughout your entire life. When you practice shadowing, you're not just repeating sounds, you're training your brain to recognize patterns of English. You're training your mouth to create those sounds automatically. You're building neural pathways, creating automatic responses. At first, it feels conscious and effortful. Your brain has to think about every sound, every word, every movement of your mouth. But with repetition, these conscious processes become automatic. This is called automaticity. It's the stage where you don't have to think about it anymore. It just happens. Think about driving a car. When you first learn to drive, you have to think about every movement. Where is the steering wheel? Where are the pedals? How hard do I press? Which way do I turn? But after you've driven for years, you can drive while thinking about other things. The motor skills have become automatic. Your mouth and English work the same way. When you practice thinking in English, when you narrate your day in English in your mind, you're training your brain to access English first. You're training your brain to reach for English instead of your native language. You're building new neural pathways that make English the default pathway, not an alternative pathway. This takes time. This is a process. But it is absolutely possible. Every single person who has become fluent in a second language has done this. Every bilingual person in the world has trained their brain to think in multiple languages. If they can do it, you can do it. When you listen to English constantly, when you immerse yourself in the language, your brain is working hard in the background, even if you don't consciously realize it. Your brain is recognizing patterns. It's associating sounds with meanings. It's building a database of English structures and patterns. This is happening automatically, subconsciously, without your effort. This is why listening is so powerful. You don't have to understand everything to benefit from listening. Your brain is learning even when you think you're not learning. Let me talk about something called comprehensible input. This is a concept from language learning research. Comprehensible input means language that you can partially understand. Not language you understand 100%, and not language that is completely incomprehensible, but language that is somewhere in the middle. You understand maybe 50 to 70%, and the context helps you understand the rest. This is the optimal level for language learning. When you listen to English videos, if you're catching 50% of the words, if you understand half of what's being said, that's actually perfect. That's comprehensible input. Your brain is receiving information that is challenging but not overwhelming. Many learners make the mistake of only listening to English that they fully understand. They listen to beginner content that is too easy, or they get frustrated and give up when content is too difficult. But the sweet spot, the optimal learning zone, is right in the middle. Challenge yourself to listen to English that is just slightly beyond your current level. Not way beyond, not incomprehensible, but just slightly challenging. This is where learning accelerates. Let me also talk about motivation and why it matters. You can have the best technique in the world, but if you don't have motivation, if you don't have a strong reason for wanting to learn English, you will eventually give up. Motivation is everything. So I want you to think about why you want to learn English. Is it for career advancement? Is it to communicate with people from other countries? Is it to understand movies and books? Is it to travel? Is it for personal growth and challenge? Whatever your reason, hold on to it. Write it down. Look at it when you feel discouraged. And let me tell you something. You will feel discouraged sometimes. You will have days when you don't feel like practicing. You will have moments when you feel like you're not making progress. This is normal. This is part of the learning journey. The people who succeed are not the ones who never feel discouraged. The people who succeed are the ones who feel discouraged and keep going anyway. They practice anyway. They keep showing up even when they don't feel like it. This is called discipline, and it's more important than motivation. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. Build discipline by making these practices automatic. Make them part of your routine, like brushing your teeth or having breakfast. You don't need to feel motivated to brush your teeth. You just do it. It's automatic. That's what we want to create with English practice. It should be so automatic, so much a part of your routine that you don't have to think about whether you're going to do it or not. You just do it. Now, let me give you some practical strategies for actually implementing these techniques successfully. Because knowing what to do and actually doing it are two very different things. Let me help you bridge that gap. First, start with tracking. Keep a simple record of your practice. You don't need anything complicated, just a simple notebook or a notes app on your phone. Each day, write down what you practiced. You might write, shadowed podcast for 5 minutes, wrote 3 sentences in journal, changed phone to English. This simple tracking does 2 things. First, it creates accountability. You can see your progress written down. Second, it makes it clear when you're being consistent and when you're skipping days. Second, find an accountability partner. If possible, find a friend who is also learning English or a friend who can support your learning. Tell them about your goals. Tell them what you're working on. Check in with them regularly. Share your progress. Knowing that someone else is aware of your goals makes you more likely to follow through. This is a psychological principle called accountability. It works. If you don't have a friend who can help, even telling someone in your family, telling someone at work creates accountability. Third, start small. I can't emphasize this enough. Don't try to implement all 5 techniques at once. Don't completely overhaul your life. Start with one technique. Commit to practicing it for 1 week, just 1 week. Let's say you choose to change your phone to English. Spend 1 week just getting used to that change. Navigate your phone in English. See how many words you learn. After 1 week, add the second technique. Maybe you add the daily journal. Now you're changing your phone and writing 3 sentences each night. Continue adding techniques one at a time. This prevents overwhelm. This makes it sustainable. This is how you build habits that actually stick. Big, dramatic changes usually don't last. Small, incremental changes build into massive transformation over time. This is the key to sustainable change. Fourth, schedule your practice. Don't just say, I'll practice whenever I have time, because you won't have time. Time doesn't appear. You have to create it. You have to schedule it. Write it in your calendar. Set a reminder on your phone. Say, every morning at 7 a.m., I listen to an English podcast for 15 minutes. Say, every night before bed, I write 3 sentences in my journal. When you schedule it, when you put it in your calendar, it becomes a commitment. It becomes real, and you're much more likely to follow through. Fifth, celebrate small wins. Don't wait until you're fluent to celebrate. Don't wait until you can have perfect conversations. Celebrate every small victory. You understood 1 sentence in an English video? Celebrate that. You thought an entire thought in English without translating? Celebrate that. You spoke for 10 seconds without freezing up? Celebrate that. These small victories are building blocks. They're momentum, and momentum is what keeps you going. Sixth, be patient with yourself. This is so important. Language learning is a journey, not a destination. You didn't learn your native language in a few weeks. You learned it over years. English will take time too. But time passes anyway. You might as well use it to learn English. A year from now, you can either be exactly where you are now, or you can be fluent in English. You get to choose. The choice is yours. And I'm telling you, that choice is going to be the best decision you ever make. 7th, expect plateaus. You'll make rapid progress at first. You'll be amazed at how quickly you improve. But then you'll hit a plateau. You'll feel like you're not improving for a while. This is completely normal. This is called a plateau, and it happens in every learning process. Plateaus don't mean you've stopped improving. They just mean the improvement is not as visible anymore. Your brain is consolidating what you've learned. It's integrating new knowledge. The growth is happening, but it's happening below the surface. If you keep practicing through the plateau, you'll suddenly break through and make another leap forward. 8th, mix input and output. Don't just listen. Don't just read. Mix passive input, like listening and reading, with active output, like speaking and writing. Input is your comprehension practice. Output is your production practice. Both are necessary. Input prepares your brain. Output trains your mouth. You need both to become truly fluent. This is why I've emphasized both listening and speaking throughout this episode. Let me address some of the common obstacles that learners face, because I know many of you will encounter these. First obstacle, you feel embarrassed to speak English out loud. You feel self-conscious. You think people will laugh at you or judge you. Here's what I want you to know. Everyone feels this way at first. Even native speakers feel self-conscious when speaking a language they're not fluent in. But this embarrassment is temporary. It fades with practice. And here's the truth. The only people who will judge you are people whose opinions don't matter. The people who matter, the people who care about you, will support your learning and celebrate your effort. Find a safe space to practice. Practice alone. Practice with a trusted friend. Practice in a group of other learners where everyone is in the same boat. Second obstacle. You don't have time. You're too busy. Your schedule is packed. Here's what I want to tell you. Everyone is busy. Every successful person is busy. The question is not whether you have time. The question is whether you will make English a priority. You make time for things that matter to you. You find time for things you care about. If you care about your English, you will find time. And remember, you don't need an hour. You need 5 minutes. You need 10 minutes. You need consistency, not duration. 5 minutes every day is more effective than 3 hours once a week. Third obstacle. You feel like you're not making progress. You feel stuck. You feel like you've plateaued. This is discouraging. But here's what's happening. Progress in language learning is not linear. It's not a straight line going up. It goes up, then flat, then up again. You're making progress even on the flat days. Your brain is consolidating. Your brain is processing. Stick with it. Keep practicing. And suddenly, one day, you'll realize you understand something you couldn't understand before. You'll be able to do something you couldn't do before. Fourth obstacle. You compare yourself to others. You look at someone else who is more fluent than you, who sounds more natural than you, and you feel discouraged. You think, I'll never be that good. Here's the truth. You have no idea what that person's journey was. You don't know how many years they studied. You don't know if they lived in an English-speaking country. You don't know their starting point. Comparison is the thief of joy. Stop comparing yourself to others. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, who you were last week, who you were last month. Are you better than you were? That's what matters. That's progress. Fifth obstacle. You focus on perfection. You want to speak perfectly. You want to have perfect pronunciation. You want to use perfect grammar. This perfection seeking actually slows down your progress. Perfect is the enemy of good. Good is the enemy of done. Embrace mistakes. Mistakes are how we learn. Every mistake you make is teaching you something. Every time you speak and make a mistake, your brain is learning. If you never make mistakes, you're not being challenged enough. You're not growing. Make mistakes. Learn from them. Keep going. Sixth obstacle. You study grammar instead of using language. You get stuck in the study phase. You know all the grammar rules, but you can't speak. Here's the truth. Grammar is important, but it's not the most important thing. Speaking is more important than perfect grammar. Communication is more important than perfection. You can communicate with broken grammar much more easily than you can communicate with perfect grammar that you never actually use. Focus on communication. Focus on meaning. Grammar will improve naturally as you use the language. For those of you who are already at an intermediate level, who already have some ability to think in English, let me give you some more advanced techniques to continue your growth. First, talk to yourself out loud. Yes, I know this might feel strange. Sit down and have a conversation with yourself out loud in English. Ask yourself questions and answer them. Debate yourself on topics. Express your opinions. This is incredibly powerful because you're combining thinking in English with speaking in English. You're getting real-time feedback on how your English sounds. You can correct yourself immediately. You can work through difficult thoughts. This is a practice that professional interpreters use. It's called auto-interpretation, and it's extremely effective. Second, consume more challenging content. If you've been watching beginner videos and listening to beginner podcasts, it's time to move up. Challenge yourself. Watch content that is slightly above your current level. Listen to podcasts about complex topics. Read books in English. Consume content that is interesting to you but slightly challenging. This is where real growth happens, in that zone right above your current comfort level. Third, engage in language exchange. Find a partner, maybe online, maybe in person, who is a native English speaker. Offer to help them learn your native language, and they help you with English. You have conversations in English. You correct each other. This is not just practice. This is real communication. This is using English for actual purposes, not just for study. Real communication accelerates learning. Fourth, immerse yourself in English culture. Learn about English-speaking countries. Learn about their culture, their history, their values. Watch English movies, read English books, listen to English music. Understand the context in which English is used. Language is not just words. Language carries culture. It carries values. It carries ways of thinking. Understanding the culture helps you understand the language more deeply. Fifth, teach someone else English. If there's someone around you learning English, help them. Teaching is one of the best ways to solidify your own knowledge. When you teach, you have to organize your knowledge. You have to explain things clearly. You have to understand not just the what, but the why. This deepens your own understanding. Let me share a few more success stories with you because I want you to see that what I'm telling you is not theoretical. It actually works in real life. Let me tell you about Elena. Elena was a nurse in Ukraine. She was intelligent, hardworking, but terrified of speaking English. She was terrified to the point where she would avoid English conversations. She studied English for years, but she could never get past her fear. One day, she decided she was done with fear. She decided she was going to do the techniques I described. She changed her phone to English. She started thinking in English when she was alone. She shadowed English podcasts about nursing. She wrote 3 sentences in her journal every night in English. 6 months later, Elena was working in an international hospital, giving medical presentations in English, having conversations with English-speaking doctors without fear. She wasn't fluent, but she was confident. She was communicating, and that was all she needed. The techniques worked for her. Or let me tell you about Juan. Juan was a businessman in Colombia. He needed English for his job, but his English was stagnant. He had reached a level where he could survive in English meetings, but he wasn't fluent. He wasn't thinking in English. So he started a daily practice. Every morning, he shadowed a business podcast. Every evening, he wrote about his day in English. He watched TED Talks and repeated the sentences. After 2 months, his thinking started to shift. He started having internal thoughts in English about business matters. After 4 months, he was leading international meetings in English. His confidence went through the roof. He was no longer just surviving in English, he was thriving. Or let me tell you about Amir. Amir was a teenager in Iran. He learned English through YouTube, through online communities, through English content he found online. He didn't have a formal teacher. He didn't go to an English school, but he practiced shadowing videos. He talked to himself in English. He wrote stories in English. He engaged in online communities where people spoke English. Within a few years, Amir was fluent in English. He was helping others learn English. He was translating content. He built an entire skill set just by practicing the techniques I'm describing. These people are not special. They don't have special talents. They just practiced. They stayed consistent. They didn't give up. And you can do exactly what they did. You can have the same results. The techniques work. Let me give you a concrete roadmap for the next month. This is your action plan. Week 1. Change your phone to English and start noticing the words. Week 1. Listen to one English podcast or video every day for at least 10 minutes. Week 1. Try thinking in single words for 5 minutes each day. That's your week 1, just those 3 things. Week 2. Continue everything from week 1. Add writing 3 sentences in a journal every night. That's your new addition. Week 2. Total new commitment is just the journal. Everything else you're already doing. Week 3. Continue everything. Add shadowing. Find one video or podcast and shadow it for 5 minutes. Week 3 is where you add the speaking element. Week 4. Continue everything. Add talking to yourself. Have a conversation with yourself in your head in English, then out loud. By the end of week 4, you have all 5 techniques implemented, but you did it gradually. You added one piece at a time. By the end of the month, you have a sustainable practice in place that doesn't overwhelm you, but is powerful. Then, after this month, I want you to take a week off and reflect. Reflect on what changed. Write down your observations. How is your thinking different? How do you feel about English? Then continue. Keep going for another month with all 5 techniques in place, and another month, and another month. By the end of 3 months of consistent practice, your thinking will have changed. By the end of 6 months, you will be thinking in English regularly. By the end of a year, you will be fluent. This is not a miracle. This is consistency. This is practice. So, in closing, I want to leave you with this. You are capable of thinking in English. You are capable of speaking English with confidence. You are capable of the transformation you dream about. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to live in an English-speaking country. You just need to show up every single day and practice a little bit. Small actions, repeated consistently over time, create extraordinary results. This is not just my belief. This is proven science. This is what has worked for thousands of people around the world, and it will work for you too. Think about where you will be in 1 year if you commit to this. In 1 year, you could be thinking in English every day. You could be speaking with confidence. You could be understanding English movies without trying. You could be having English conversations that feel natural and easy. That person who is thinking in English with ease, who is communicating with confidence, that person is possible. That person can be you. But you have to start. You have to take the first step. You have to change your phone to English today. You have to listen to an English podcast tomorrow. You have to write 3 sentences in English tomorrow night. You have to do one small thing today. That's all I'm asking. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until you have more time. Start now. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can, and watch yourself transform. I truly believe in you. I truly believe that you can do this because I've seen it happen hundreds of times. I've seen people just like you with the same fears, the same doubts, the same barriers transform their English ability completely, and you can do it too. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. Thank you for giving me your time, your attention, your focus. I hope that this episode has given you tools, techniques, strategies, and, most importantly, hope and belief that you can do this. Before you go, please do remember to check out the podcast playlist on our channel. There are more episodes there on different topics that can help you continue your English learning journey and your personal growth journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe to the podcast channel. Your subscription helps me reach more people who are struggling with their English learning. It takes just a few seconds, and it means the world to me. And please share this episode with someone you know who is learning English. You might be the catalyst that helps them finally break through and achieve the English ability they've been dreaming about. I'm Lily, and I'll see you in the next episode. Keep practicing, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself. You've got this. Goodbye.